Good evening, everybody. My name is Rosemary. I am the Henry Hudson Board of Education President. I have volunteered quite often during Superstorm Sandy. Yes, close enough. That was the first test. I'm going to give you an overlay of what's going to happen this evening. This is a forum. It is not a debate. The candidates have been supplied with work questions that I emailed them on Friday. They have 1 minute to answer these questions. They will each have a 2-minute opening. I will rotate through the candidates as they are sitting so that the first person will not be answering the question the first time. Once they have answered the first 4 questions, there will be a 5-minute break so everybody can go to the bathroom, which I will show you where they are if you do not know. And then I'm going to go through the questions that are in the box to make sure there are no duplicate questions. If I have any question or think the question is inappropriate, I have a panel of 2 that will be looking at the questions to agree with me or disagree with me whether or not the questions are inappropriate. Larry Chesel is a person who lives in town. I don't believe that anybody really even knows him. He and I served the Booster Club together, I'd say about 10 years ago at Henry Hudson. And I am sorry, Councilman, but please tell me your name again. John Lamia. He is from Seabright. He has no affiliation with this town, and he was just asked to come in. I think between the 3 of us, or among the 3 of us, we should be able to decipher if a question is appropriate or not. So, let us start now. Here are our candidates. Carolyn Braun, Claudette Dorigo, Kevin Redmond, and Tara Lyon. Carolyn, will you please start with your 2-minute introduction?
Okay. Hello, I'm Carolyn Braun. I came to Highlands in 2002 and fell in love with it so much that I moved here about 6 months later. I started getting involved in the town after Sandy because I used to work in the city and I'd be gone from pretty much 7:30 in the morning to 7:30 at night, so it took a lot of time for me to get involved. But after the storm, I started videoing meetings and putting them on YouTube so that people who were displaced would still be able to see what was going on in town and what was happening and how soon they could hopefully get back. I don't have a timer, so I don't know why I have a
Here's your timer.
Okay. Thank you. I'm a businesswoman. I've been working full-time for 30 years. First in the Garnet District and then the last 23 or 5, something like that, in market research. So what I do for a living is I ask people questions, I find out what their issue is, and then through the data we try to solve those problems. So I'm used to conflict resolution. I've been a business owner, so I know about budgeting, staff management, how to read the books, and also negotiation of contracts, which is very important in a small town such as ours, where we're looking to do a lot with the little that we have.
Thank you. Claudette.
Hi, my name is Claudette Dorigo, and I came to Highlands 10 years ago in 2005. I bought my house after living in Eatontown for 20 years. I was a director at the Red Bank YMCA for 10 years and a coach. Before that I was a teacher, so I kind of wore a lot of hats. I am a business person also. I also own 2 businesses that I sold over the years. I am running, or I'm here because I've been attending meetings for the last 7 years, sitting in the audience watching the way things were done, and it motivated me to try to change some things and try to bring a new perspective perhaps. I started attending meetings 7 years ago because of an issue I was having in town. that to this day still hasn't been resolved. What else do I want to tell you about myself? I was a leader in many respects. I was a board president of a national association. I was also secretary treasurer of another association. So I come with some strong leadership skills.
Thank you. Ken?
How you doing? My name is Kevin Redmond. I'm a councilman in town. I came to this town in 1957. Been here for 57 years. Went to school here. Went to Henry Hudson. Graduated from Henry Hudson. Worked at the Carroll's Navigator, which is a restaurant down near the bridge. My brother owned it. I went to work for Shortport Distributors for 32 years, retired on January 1st, 2015. I ran for council 4 years ago, won a 1-year term, and ran again and won a 3-year term. Right now, I am the liaison to the planning board. I'm also the master planning board. I'm also the head of the police department, fire department, first aid, emergency office system. I also have a background in business. I was a supervisor at Short Point for 15 years, handling budgets and paying for goods. Right now I have 2 children that are married, that have grandchildren. I love the town. I think it's a great place to live, and we're working forward to try to make sure this town moves as fast as possible to get back on its feet again. It's very important. I've been at FEMA meetings to get the community center back where it is now, ready to open up. We also have meetings at Set Ahead for the borough administration building, so we can have that with the first aid, and the police department included in it. There's properties that are being looked at right now, and FEMA's behind us. It will help us pay for it. They're looking at a 90-10 for purchase of land and 90-10 to put up a building. Hopefully this will be done within the next few months. I thank you.
Thank you. Tara?
Thank you. I'm Tara Ryan. I came to town almost 22 years ago. Just like others, we first came thinking this would be our vacation home, but quickly sold our home in the other city, and we have lived here, and we have become Highlanders. I started attending the council meetings over 15 years ago, and through that time, I served on different committees and actually became a member of the Board of Education. I ran for election on that, and I was appointed to the zoning board, getting experience in municipal government actually before I ran for the council. I had some understanding of it. Now I work as I'm the legal standing advocate for a not-for-profit law firm in Eatontown, and I have worked with many, many standing survivors. In the past, I have been a liaison to the New York City Board of Education, working for 20 years on their conflict resolution and peer mediation programs. I wrote the books that are still being used today. I also have a background in the arts, and I also have a background in business. I own my own restaurant and catering business, and I work with my husband in a very large transportation firm that we built up from a small mom-and-pop firm into quite a large corporation. So I have also worked with people. I have experience with budgets, and I do think that we have come a long way since Sandy. I was elected 1 week after Sandy destroyed this town, and everything that I had planned and hoped to do for the town had to be put aside, because now we had to save the town, we had to rebuild it. Well, we are rebuilding it. We have lots of plans, and the first one is coming to fruition. The community center will open next weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will start. Claudette, you will answer the first question.
Okay.
Why are you running to be elected or re-elected to the Borough Council? You have 1 minute to answer this. Yes.
This is your same before. after attending 7 years of meetings and witnessing the same issues repeatedly being discussed, yet never resolved, I realize that the way things are being handled is not working. I've attended more council meetings as a resident than any sitting council member, and I feel I have a good grasp in the areas where the town needs improvement as well as the areas that are running efficiently. As I said before, I was the director of a large program with 3 departments underneath me. I was board president. I believe each council person should be a leader, and that the diversity of the people on the council is a productive and a positive way to get things done. I believe a council person should be a positive leader, something I have done consistently throughout my life based on my accomplishments both in the workforce and my volunteer endeavors.
Thank you. Kevin?
Well, let me put it this way. Putting in more time in the last 10 months since I retired and working the streets with the engineering department, fire department, the police department, participating in meetings with FEMA, hands-on on what they're talking about, in discussion with the clam plants, new lease. These are things that we have to get solved, we have to move forward on. And with me being involved right now, it's only the right thing to do is to have me finish what I've started. So I would like to say that there's a lot of things that are going on in town. Some people know some of them. Most of them don't know what's going on. We're trying to get that taken care of. You know, our transparency wants to be out there. We want to make sure that all the information that we need will get to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Tara?
Okay, why am I running again? Many people have asked me this, and I've asked myself, because it certainly has not been an easy job. It's one of the toughest things that I've ever done. Of course, that is because of the situation with Sandy. Nobody had ever been through this. When I ran, I had other ideas, other things that I wanted to do to the town and do for the town. But now we have all these major projects going on. We have forged relationships with the people who are doing the projects. We are embroiled in the budgetary process. I have learned an enormous amount about all of these projects, from the streetscape to the community center to the clam plant. And I know that my work has helped move it along, and I want to continue it to fruition.
Thank you. Carol?
Through the last few years, I had wanted, as I had mentioned, because I was working full-time in Manhattan, I didn't have enough, didn't believe I had enough time to give to the town. Last year, August, I was able to begin working from home. So that 4 hours out of my life commuting every day is now gone, and I can be home for anything that arises during the day. I have very supportive employers who allow me a lot of lead time to do things within the community, and all I have to do is ask them. I believe that I can bring something to the table that is not currently here with my research background. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin, you want to start the next round of questions. What are your top personal priorities for Highlands?
I think my first one on the list is Borough Hall. I think that's very important that we have. I think it's very important to have it built in the next few years, but I don't want to put a burden on the taxpayers if we go away from what FEMA wants to do. 90% is a huge number on any building you want to buy, okay? 90% for land that you want to put it on is a lot of money for this town to spend. FEMA will give us that money. I know it's a long time coming, but it's very important that we play out with FEMA so we can get this going. And I hope that it happens within the next 3 months.
Thank you. Tara?
Okay, well, there are two. Number one, that I think is most important is reducing our tax burden. We have an awful lot on our shoulders, and we really need to look very hard to find how we can do this. I don't think it's going to be by saying across-the-board cuts, because we do not have much fat in our budget. We have two lines that are quite high, which are engineering and our legal fees, and they can be looked at. But the reason they're so high is because we have so many projects going on. And they are all going to start happening soon because they are FEMA-related and we will give FEMA money. My second most important thing, and I agree with Kevin, is to have the Borough Hall. It will be a morale booster to be able to show what we are doing, to have a place for the people to come, to do whatever business they have in town, but we need this. It means something, the first brand new structure. And we are waiting FEMA's answer on how much money we will get for the former Borough Hall, which will tell us how much money we have for the new Borough Hall. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carol?
I'm not going to speak to the Borough Hall and the other town buildings that we don't have anymore, because it would seem redundant to use my 60 seconds on that. Yes, it is a priority, but these are things that would happen very far down the road, because you have to purchase land, build the building. It's not going to happen in one day. It's going to take some time to do those things. I think things that we can do right now that would make a huge impact on residents' lives is serious and aggressive code enforcement and using the laws that we currently have on the books. That will directly tie into taxes, because an abandoned building that's been abandoned for 25 years has a ridiculously low tax rate.
Carolyn, can you speak up a little bit, please?
Sorry, if that building was actually livable with someone in it, that assessment would be a lot greater, therefore we would get more in taxes. Another thing is removing a lot of the ordinances and our land use and zoning that restrict businesses, such as Bay Avenue, where you have pockets of businesses and pockets of residential. I firmly believe, personally, that the entirety of Bay Avenue should be rezoned as mixed use, therefore giving investors a chance to actually purchase property and build new businesses in town.
Thank you. Claudette?
I'd like to see the immediate movement on the removal of all the derelict properties and condemned properties around town. I'd like to see the streets that have been torn up by Highlands repaired the way they're being repaired in other towns, because I've gone through other towns and looked to see what they're doing. And our streets that were torn up aren't being repaired that way. And most of you know that I've been working with FEMA, Senator Menendez, Senator Booker, to try to get the adoption of the flood maps in our town so that everyone can move forward on their rebuild, because right now we have a number of residents that cannot rebuild because they don't know where they stand on their flood maps. And that affects us all, because it doesn't matter whether you live up on the hill or below. If residents aren't in their homes and they're paying taxes on vacant land, we're all picking up that share. So if we don't get these maps adopted, and the only way to do that is through federal help with our senators, and I'm working very closely to get those adopted.
Thank you. The next question, as you all know, is a very long question, so let's see how concise you can be. Why do you think so many in the town feel as though there is a lack of communication within the government circle, resulting in a lack of conveyance to the people? How do you intend to improve communications across the board from the borough? What tools would you use? How often? Who would be in charge of coordinating these communications? And Tara, yes.
Okay, how long do I have?
1 minute.
Okay, let's go up.
10 seconds.
All right, here we go. Okay, of course we can do better. Of course we can. We have not done the best job in this. There have been reasons, but it really doesn't matter why, because we need to do a better job. When I first got on the council, I really wanted to work on these situations with the communication. But again, my life changed and all your lives changed when Sandy came and just changed our lives. In the beginning, we had talked about having a Facebook page and a new website and newsletter and all these things that we did start out trying, except the Facebook page. Last year at the League of Municipalities, I went to classes about this and asked the big question, okay, I want to have a Facebook page where people can go on for the town. How do I do it? I needed to know who was going to run it because we have a very, very tiny staff. And I was told, oh, your IT person will do it. Oh, your assistant clerk will do it. Oh, the woman in the office who does this will do it. You don't have any of those people. So I did not get a satisfactory answer there. I then went to Sustainable Jersey about 8 weeks ago, and there was actually a class on this very same situation. Who does Facebook? What happens in towns when they do it? And we were basically told that in a town our size, without someone to monitor this all day, it is not a good idea. So we need to do a better job. I don't have all the answers, but one thing I think will help is that when we have our council meetings each week, let's change it and have the public comment before the meeting. This way everybody can say what they mean beforehand. Thank you.
Thank you. Karen, I know this is a long question and it's more than one. Just so you know, the candidates were provided these questions beforehand.
Okay. First and foremost, we really need to look at all of the RFPs that were submitted on June 15th of this year from, I believe, 6 or 7 different web design firms. 7, there you go. And it's now October, and I don't know where that is in the process, but we need to choose one of them and run with it. Secondly, we need, I think it would be a vast improvement if we were to incorporate Nixle, which is an alert system of anything from a road being closed to if there's some accident in town, or if there's another, well, not if, but when there is another situation, such as Sandy, residents would get that information very quickly via either text or email. And most importantly is that we can have all the tools to tell people what's going on, but unless we tell people what's going on, all of the tools at your disposal are useless. So we have to stop operating as a backroom, closed-door government and let people in town know what's happening, what's coming up, and say, are you willing to help us make it happen? Thank you.
Thank you. Lynette?
I agree with Colin on that issue, on the issue of Nixle, but I also feel that we don't use social media to the best way we can. Twitter is a very quick and efficient way to get things out. I'm not too good on it, but I know it's an efficient way. I also feel that a committee consisting of representatives from the condo associations, from residents up on the hill, from residents in the downtown area, and Pataki and Jenny Parker, and 2 council people should meet monthly to address issues, to communicate, to open the doors of communication between all of those residents. There's such a divisiveness in town with residents all feeling different things that we can't communicate at all because we're all on different pages. So bringing everybody together is the fastest way for me to communicate. And I would be willing to chair that committee if I was elected. I absolutely feel that personal contact is a way to communicate in a fast way. You don't have to worry about people reading. You talk to them and you get it done.
Thank you. Kevin?
I think everybody here has said very important things for the town. I just like to, hopefully that if Sandy didn't come, we didn't go through what we had to go through. But a lot of these things have changed because of what we had to take forward first to try to get things back. I think social media for a lot of people is great, but elderly people or some people who don't use it really don't have the benefit for it. I believe that we have to get out there with newsletters and have to get it in everybody's hand, at least quarterly, so they know what's going on. I think communicating face-to-face is very important also. I think you can look in the eye and at least you can tell and believe what you're saying to them. Reading something on paper or seeing something on a screen is fine, but there's both sides to what's said. We have to make sure they hear both. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to start the next question. Actually, yes. Are there spending cuts that you believe the borough should make? Kevin? Yes, I think that's right? Yes.
Okay.
Kevin?
No problem. I think that we could look at the budget where there's some dollars. And I don't know if cutting is the answer. We have a $15 million budget. And about 10 of it goes for school systems in the Monmouth County, it leaves about 5. We need so much money for infrastructure for the town, for new sewers, water pipes, drainage. We do not have that much money to come about to pay things if there's an emergency. What I like to do is put a plank out there, cut things back where we can on other planks, and put it there for emergency services. If have to be done, streets, sidewalks, lights, anything that can help the people of Highlands. I think that's very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Tara?
The question is, should there be cuts? I'm not sure that there should be. Our budget is really, really tight. As Kevin said, so much of it is taken away from us immediately. We don't have much to say about it. We have so many projects going on, it's really difficult to find an area to cut. What I would concentrate on instead is bringing more money in. This would be more cash through redevelopment. Projects such as the Sandy Hook Bay Marina, the restaurant, and the Colte Townhouse will bring more money into town, both through our tax collectors and also through going to other businesses. All these people will be going to all the businesses and restaurants in town. And we also need to really look seriously at grants. We have hired another granting firm, and they have been charged with looking for money for every project we're doing, and also our purchasing agent. That is part of her job, that she looks for grants and reimbursement from FEMA and other government agencies for every project that we do in town. Thank you.
Karen?
I firmly believe that our professional services budgets are out of control. In the last 3 years, we've given our engineering firm over, I think it's about $2.3 million, which equates to over $500,000 a year. If we were to have our own borough engineer, we would be paying that person that much. And if we, in that savings of money for that salary, we could have a staff of DPW once again, instead of just one person and a couple of part-timers, to actually do the work in town. You don't need an engineering firm to pour a sidewalk. You need a mason. However, everything goes through engineering, and we don't have a DPW staff that can fix the infrastructure problems in this town without having to put everything out to bid and paying exorbitant prices for it.
Thank you. Claudette?
I also believe the borough needs to re-examine the contract that they have with T&M with the possible goal of reducing our bill with them by at least 25%. I also think we need to have a clearer presentation by our borough administrator of our budget so that we can understand what the other on each line item or each department is, because there may be some duplication there of the way we are spending our money. I also think we need to look at our borough-owned properties that we can divest and put some money back into our rainy day fund. Sell them off. We've got properties that are sitting there that we're not doing anything with. Let's get rid of them.
Thank you. We're going to take a 5-minute break so I can go through the questions. I know I screwed up the order at some point, that last one, so I'm sorry. So you can all use the restroom if you need to, talk amongst yourself, candidate, drink water, and be back in a minute. So you never go until 8:30, so I will ask as many questions as is allowed by time. If I didn't ask your question, it may have been redundant. There were a couple of questions, I will tell you right off the bat, that my panel agreed were not appropriate to ask, or were not questions, it's a statement. If I don't read your question, that doesn't mean I pulled it, it just means that we didn't have enough time. You ready, panel?
Oh, yes.
If I go out of order, you may correct me from there. I'm going to try and do it.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are these specifically for each
No,
one of us?
there are some that are specific for each one, and I have them all mixed in, but if I ask a question and don't state your name, it's for all of you to answer. I'm going to start at this side now, with Sharon, okay? What will be your first focus when you take office on January 1st?
Okay, it will be looking at the tax line, what we're doing, how we can do anything to reduce the tax burden. Then it will be looking at the community center and getting programs going up there immediately, because that is a revenue-producing building. And we could have it booked every weekend. There are enough people in this town who still need a place and want a place to rent out to have their parties and events, and we'll start working with that. Those are the two first priorities.
Thank you. Kevin?
Well, I'm not going to wait till January 1st, okay, because I'll be working on the 4th. And I will continue to try to do two things. One thing that we're working on right now is clam plant, the legal lease for it. I think it's very important. The clammers in this town have a history of doing clamming and really be benefiting the town to know that this is very important for them. The one thing that I'm disturbed about is that the clams they harvest, you don't get them in this town. They're sold outside the town. This will stop. They will sell in the Highlands if they have to give them away. Because how can you go to a town and not get a clam that's harvested, purified, and sold out of town? This is not my way. This will change, and it will start on November 4th.
Thank you. Claudette?
Maybe I'm being naive, but my first thing that I would want to do is open the lines of communication with everybody in the community. I think there are so many issues. Every time I knock on the door in a different household, I hear complaints all the time. I'm not hearing anybody's happy. So I think the open line of communication, sitting down with people and actually finding out what their issue is in their area so we can begin to address them. There's so many issues that we have to pick one for everybody and start addressing all those issues. That would be my...
Thank you. Karen?
Hopefully by January, the master plan process will be further along, and I strongly believe that this town, which is 0.7 square miles, does not need 20 different areas of zoning. As I said before, it is a hindrance to both businesses coming into town as well as private investors who want to come and have property in town, or somebody wants to have a mixed-use building. It's stopping us from getting further with having better homes, better businesses, and a better tax base.
Thank you. Kevin? How does each candidate plan to self-measure progress, goals, and objectives? How does each candidate plan to self-measure progress, goals, and objectives?
You know, I think that each individual one of us have certain goals within ourselves to what we want to get done. We have to look as individuals out that we have on council, or no one that will be on council will not be. We don't know yet. Goals that measure, some things work and some things don't work. Just to move forward, you know, get the tax bracket back where it's supposed to be, have more building come into town. You know, let's research what we can do with Shadow more. bring more revenue into town. This is very important, and to grow that, I would look at me as achieving what I want to do.
Thank you. Claudette?
Can you repeat that?
Yes. How does each candidate plan to self-measure progress, goals, and objectives?
Okay, well, I would set goals for myself, actually, and after listening to everybody around and what they need, and I would then have an end point that I'd have to get to, and if I didn't get to that, being truly competitive, I would be really aggravated with myself. So I don't really know, I'm not clear on the question, I guess.
I didn't write it.
Yeah, you know.
There's a part to it, and I have to tell you, there's some people that wrote 5 parts to one question, and I'm not going to
I mean, I don't know how to self-evaluate. You self-evaluate by setting a goal and achieving that goal. That's really how you self-evaluate. And that's kind of what I'm hearing as the question. I don't know.
Okay, thank you. Karen?
Again, it's an odd question, but yes, self-evaluate, I guess it would be the same type of thing where if I'm going in and I'm looking at what I plan to do, what people are telling me that they would like to see happen in town, I can see if, when and how those things are actually happening, but I wouldn't just stop at self-evaluation. And as people have heard, I'm a market researcher. I ask people questions, and I'd be asking you guys to give me the feedback.
Karen?
Like a business plan, which it really is, because running a town is like running a business. I would set goals after talking to people, but set goals for myself and for the town, and evaluate it as we went along. Some things can be accomplished very quickly, and some take more than a 3-year term. And these things can be obviously measured, so they can be measured and reported back on at certain times, which maybe there should be an end-of-year report from the council on all projects. I think that would be a good idea to let everybody know what's going on. But yeah, we can measure ourselves, set our goals, and then stay where we're at. Because we're not going to reach everything 100%. We're human. But we can do a lot, and we have done a lot, and I guess we need to let people know more of what we've done. Because we have not done a great job of getting it out there. We really need to let people know all the great things that are happening and all the work that we are doing.
Thank you. Claudette, do you start this? How will you attract business to our town?
Well, we have to have an attractive town to attract business, and right now, we don't have an attractive town. We need to complete the streetscape project that was actually started in 2000, 15 years ago, and get that done finally. I know we have till the end of the year, otherwise we lose some of this money. So we need to get that done so that we have something to present to draw in people. That's a big factor for me.
Thank you. Karen?
Along with the zoning, I would also do a freeze on permits for new businesses for their building permits, because anybody that's going to come in on Bay Avenue is going to need to either do some sort of wet or dry flood proofing. I know that we're already doing the tax abatement that's staggered over 5 years, but I would also waive the permit fees for the building permits for these companies that want to come into town and invest, to make it more attractive for them.
Thank you. Tara?
Okay, I think we need to go through our regulations and ordinances and get rid of some which are outdated. We need to make it more attractive for businesses to come into town. We need to make it easier for them. We have so many different rules and regulations in conjunction with the FEMA rules and regulations that it's really tough to come here and open a business. And I talked to, there's a certain gentleman who just recently bought 2 properties in town, and been talking to him about the process he's been going through. He is thrilled. He's getting a lot of help from the town, and I'm glad that we're able to provide that. But he's also highlighted some of the problems there are. So we really need to look at cleaning out the outdated stuff and make it easier for people to come and invest in our town and come build here and come live here.
Thank you. Kevin?
Agreeing with a lot of people what they had to say up here, it's very important. One thing that we have to do is that, and I'm proposing to do it, and I already brought it up, is that combining the planning board and the zoning board into one. This way, you go in, you get your permits or whatever we have to do, take the zoning back and make it like, I'm going to say for the year, because I'm not going to try to, we all have an idea that we want, and I think it's very important. We have to cut back on all the wrong things to make people build here. That's what I hope will happen when we combine both boards. Also, somewhere in this area, we need some kind of a hotel or place that we can bring people in where they can stay overnight. We need people here to stay. It's very important that we look at that one. That's one of the most important ones that I think that we have to have. I know years ago that they were going to do something on C Street, but then it was kicked back. Not because of Highlands, but by something else. Very important that we have that also. We had a lot of bed and breakfasts. For some reason, they dwindled down. But we need that for Highlands to get going.
Thank you. Karen? Will you hold contracted employees and contracted vendors to specific standards and not renew contracts for poor performance or not meeting the terms of the contract?
That's why we have contracts. If you are in default of your contract, you will be fired or not renewed. And I think a lot of contracts need to have specific timelines tied to specific dollar amounts. And if the work is not done satisfactorily, you're out, and you don't get another chance to come back into town.
Thank you. Tara?
Tara? Oh, okay. Yeah, of course. I think that there should be, within the language of the contract, statements, clauses that say what has to be done on a timely fashion, and if it is not adhered to, that we would not go with this contractor again. Perhaps it's time to look at if it is okay within the county of giving bonuses to people who perform contracts, finishing up early, and also penalizing them if they are finished up late. There are many things that can be looked at, but I really do believe, of course, if somebody is not performing well, they don't come back. That's it.
Thank you. Kevin?
Everybody wants to get everything done immediately, that's for sure, but you don't know what happens when you start digging up the streets of Highlands. But I do believe that every contractor should have a beginning date and an ending date. And he also can bonus him if he does earlier. That should be in the contract when it's signed.
Thank you. Claudette?
Was that in reference to contracts for outside vendors or contracts for employees?
I don't know. It says, would you hold contracted employees and contracted vendors?
Okay, so nobody addressed the contracted employees. The contracted employees, I guess it depends on whether they are unionized or not. I mean, I'm sure there's a contract that we have to follow with our unionized employees. But there should be a way that if someone's not performing up to the standards that they need to perform up to for the benefit of the town, there should be a way to remove that individual or relegate them to another position, perhaps. As far as outside vendors, I think, again, like with the T&M contract, we really need to scrutinize our contracts and make sure that the contracts that we have specify exactly what we want done and when it needs to be done by, otherwise you can't hold them to it.
Thank you. Tara? Tara starts with, am I wrong in my order? I'm wrong in my order?
You're right.
Okay.
I don't even know. I don't.
Thank you. Have you personally helped your neighbors specifically, and do they support your candidacy?
My neighbors. Okay, I live on a very small street, and I have, let me see, there are 7, 8, 9 houses. And I would say that except for the people who moved in last year, yes, I have certainly helped all of my neighbors in various ways, from babysitting to, I don't know, helping them on outdoor projects, to having them stay in my home during Sandy. And one I'm not sure about, but everybody else on my street certainly supports me.
Thank you. Kevin?
I live on Ocean Avenue, and a lot of the houses are being let to people are not living there, which is good in one way because they're going to be back, but even the ones that are being lifted that I know are still putting signs out for me. And Central Avenue the same way. I do have help. I've had to help my neighbors because they needed water or electricity for the work that's being done next to me across the street. They have come and asked. I have never denied. I have about 5 or 6 houses that are vacant on my block that haven't been touched yet. So I'm kind of in an eerie situation where I can't help everybody because there's a lot of people that are not there.
Thank you. Claudette?
It's kind of a personal question, but yes, part of my neighbors have my signs, if that's what people are indicating, but I don't know that that's really representative of what you do. I mean, all winter long was the only resident on my street full-time, so kind of helping my neighbors was really not a way, because there was nobody there. I mean, I was hand shoveling my street because it wasn't even a street that was being plowed at that point. So, for that respect, I mean, I think we all have signs out and everybody has their friends around town. So, I think that's kind of a odd question.
Still I didn't. Karen?
I'm in the same situation as Kevin there, in that a lot of people haven't made it back yet on Miller Street. Those of them that are there, yes, I've helped them do anything from shoveling snow to, I don't know, mowing their lawns, help drag out their furniture after the storm. But there's a lot of purple around from the private road and Miller Street.
Thank you. Kevin? What steps would you take to unify Highlands, meaning the us's and them's, up the hill and down the hill?
Can you repeat that question?
Sure. What steps would you take to unify Highlands, meaning the us's and the them's, up the hill or downtown?
Let me put it this, let's see, okay, let me try this. I'm unified Highlands, okay. I know that when they were trying to build the high tower at Shadow Lawn, I did make sure that I listened to all the people up in that area and helped the uniform, made them aware that I was part of that and knew that I wasn't going to vote yes for it. Unifying people downtown. I've been walking around downtown and putting up signs. Going back from where the Sunday of Sandy, when I was down, at the yard with Mr. O'Neill, who was in here somewhere, I guess, and we were loading sandbags, and we were trying to tell everybody, hey, get back, get as much as you can. But everybody has tried to help everybody in what they try to do and unify them as one, by sharing yourself to them. That is perfect.
Thank you. Claudette?
I think what happened, or what I'm hearing is happening, is that there's such a divisiveness in town because certain areas of town feel like other areas of town are paid attention to more. And so as I walk through the neighborhoods and I knock on doors and I talk to different condo associations and different groups of people, everybody has an issue. And again, to bring that all together, I was a coach It's all about the team. There's no I in team, so you have to bring everybody together. You have to sit them down. I have to hear what your problems, I live in the downtown area, I want to hear what the problems are up on the hill. I may not be aware of that. I want to hear what's going on in the condo associations, that maybe they're not getting street plowing where they need to have street plowing. I want to hear who's not picking up garbage, because that's the only way to bring the town together, because everybody has problems. There isn't anybody in this town that doesn't have an issue at some point or another. So to bring them together, you have to sit them down and talk to them about it.
Thank you. Karen?
How to unify Highlands. I think the most important thing is to talk to people and to be available and to hear what they have to say, and not just hear it and forget about it, but hear it and try to do something about it, and get as many groups of people together as possible. There's a lot of, I used to work with Habitat for Humanity when I lived in Manhattan and when I lived in Brooklyn. And it's something that Habitat for Humanity Highlands, but without the Habitat for Humanity part, we could do something like that in town using our general contractors that are here in town and be covered under their liability insurance to do small projects. And I think it would galvanize this community to truly have neighbors helping neighbors and get to know each other better.
Thank you. Tara?
Okay, I had lived here for a couple of years, and I was not aware that there was an uptown and downtown. But, because, as most of you know, I talk to everybody. And I was informed by a former mayor that there was such a divide. That's when I first heard about the goat herders and the planters and all that. And I laughed. I really did not think that there was such a divide, because I talked to everybody. I started going to meetings, so that was over 15 years ago, and listened to the problems that were happening in different parts of town, but I just never thought about it that way. I see more decisiveness now, post-Sandy, than I ever saw beforehand. And something, yes, must be done. And using conflict resolution tactics could possibly work. Using other communications could possibly work. But I think the old-fashioned way of talking to people and being kind to them and helping them is how we will unite this town.
Thank you. Claudette, what will you do to dramatically lower taxes in 2016? Big ideas only.
I don't think there's any big idea to dramatically reduce taxes anywhere. If that was the case, the federal government would certainly be hiring me tomorrow to do it. I think you have to chip at it, piece by piece. You have to dismantle what you have and look at it and then put it back together and figure out whether it's working. You can't just go in, like Tara said, there's probably not a lot of places you can slash budget, so you have to bring in more revenue. And you have to stabilize the tax base by bringing in people into the town, by rebuilding homes, by getting people to spend money will help lower taxes for everyone.
Thank you. Karen?
I go back to code enforcement, because not only is it about rehabilitating houses that have not been fixed yet, it is about habitual offenders, like a house on my street that has been abandoned for 25 years. We have current code on our books that the code enforcer could write a ticket within 30 days. If the owner doesn't do anything about it, they are fined $1,500 a day until that violation is taken care of. You don't need to do the math of $1,500 a day times 365 times 25 years. Because as soon as they start getting those fines, they would start paying. So you get more money into the town by actually ticketing these habitual offenders. They turn over their property, it actually gets fixed. That low tax rate on that abandoned property now has a normal tax rate. You keep on doing this to the over 400 or 500 abandoned homes in this town, and guess what? Your taxes get stabilized. And you get more people in town, and the town is then self-sufficient.
Thank you. Tara?
Okay, I don't believe that there is any quick, big fix. We've been looking and looking and looking, and as the term chipping away, that's what we've been doing. I just don't think it's there. If somebody has that idea, please come and let us know. But an aggressive new code enforcement policy will certainly help. We have a new judge who is supporting us on this situation with a new sliding scale of fines, where the owners of these homes and the vacant properties, they're not going to just pay the $25 minimum fine anymore, because that minimum fine is no longer happening. Fines are going up, so we will get more money. But I don't think that is a huge, big ticket item yet. It could be. We need to find more revenue, we need to have redevelopment, we need to have more business in town, and we need to find grants for our big projects.
Thank you. Kevin?
You are going to have a full-time code enforcer, which is going to happen shortly, okay? Dave McCarter's going full-time. So that will help everybody here. And I wish everybody gets their number out there to call him, okay? And let him go out, because he goes out and he does what he has to do. That's what we hired him for. I think it's very important. But cutting taxes on a town that's as small as Highlands, until we get things built, I don't think in 2016 we can cut taxes. And I'm telling you right now, we can scale some smaller items into other things where there's not an increase. But cutting, I don't think it's there. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's there.
Carolyn? This is for all of you. Give an example where you identify the problem. It doesn't have to be about politics or as an official. Describe what you did about it and what the outcome was.
One day in April of 2013, I was taking a boat back home from work, and somebody texted me and said, I can't get to the meeting, why can't we have this on the internet? So, with my phone and using the Wi-Fi from the boat, I signed up for a free Ustream account, a free YouTube account, went to the council meeting that night, streamed the meeting, and then put it up on YouTube. Problem, issue, resolved, all for free.
Thank you. Tara?
One day I was downtown, and a grandmother who was raising her 3 grandchildren asked me where the library was. And I had to tell her that we no longer had a library. And she asked me why not, and I did not know why not. So I went and I found out, and I found out about the tax structure, and I realized that we were not going to get a library anytime soon from the county, so I started one myself. I called upon some good friends, and we all got together and we collected books. We created a library. We created a really, really good library that was housed within the community center. We had computers and printers and a big TV and films and lots of books and magazines, and it was a great, happening, wonderful place. And it's going to come back again soon. It was destroyed during Sandy, but we will again have a library. And I'm really proud that I got that library in town.
Thank you. Kevin?
On my block, there's a couple of ladies who live in New York City. And they come down and they used to have trouble trying to park because during summer months, the parking really was not good for them. So they went to me, they asked me to talk to Chief Blewett and go get a handicap parking for them. They sent me all the information, did it. I got it put up within a month period of time. And this is about 5 or 6 years ago, and they haven't stopped thanking me for it yet. So it's the little things that I do maybe that help. And it just pays back.
Thank you, Claudette.
Ironically, two of the young women that I coached, one of them from Highlands originally, can tell you about the things I've done over my lifetime. But one of my big things is learn to swim. We are a waterfront town, and I have been pushing and trying to get a learn to swim program for the youth of this community. I have had instructors, Red Cross instructors. I've had pool volunteered, and I've been turned down by the town twice, not once, to try to get this program off the ground. We are a waterfront community. Every child in this community should know how to swim, and it's one of my pet peeves, but it's also the one thing that these young women can tell you, it's my thing. You have to know how to swim when you're around the water. You have to, and that's something that I'm going to continue to push on.
Thank you. What kind of volunteer work have you done for the community? Tara?
Oh, okay. Let's see. Well, I do get a stipend, $2,500 a year for doing this job as a council person, but it is mostly volunteer. Prior to this, I was on the Board of Ed for, I think, 9 years, including being president. I brought several programs into the Board of Ed, mostly reading programs, which I participated in. I was on the zoning board as a volunteer for almost 10 years, participating in many, many projects. Actually, I was going to say the bid, but before that was the Chamber of Commerce. And I started volunteering with the Chamber of Commerce when they had events. And then when the bid came in town, I volunteered at almost every event that has been produced in this town. See me there a lot, in the past 20 years. So I've done that. I volunteered after Sandy. Before I had been elected, but I had not been appointed yet. And I was down in town almost every day.
Right, cutting you off.
I volunteer a lot.
Thank you. Kevin?
I've been volunteering for the Highlands Business Partnership for over 15 years for all the events that they have. I'm one of the individuals who talked to them about getting a beer wagon and a wine garden for their clam fest. So we do that. We did the Oktoberfest. We do the bike run. Years ago, when I was younger, I was the president of the Sandy Hook Little League, which most of you didn't know that we had one. I also had a daughter who played softball, so I was a baseball and softball coach back then when my kids were growing up. So I'm donating my time for everything else in town for the last 10 months. I've been working with people in town here, Dale, Tim, Joe. They call me up, they want to meet me, talk to stuff, go on site, go to Freehold, go to Eatontown. And I like it. And it's not volunteering, it's helping the town.
Kevin? Claudette?
Well, most people know that I was a person that hit the papers with the $34,000 flood insurance renewal after I lifted my house. So I became involved federally, on the federal level for the town, to try to get the adoption of the flood maps. I've been working with the 2 senators and Dan Lubner to push forward, because in 2009, we were reevaluated and put into a velocity zone down in the lower Highlands that's affected everybody in the lower Highlands and their flood insurance. So federally, I've been volunteering my time working with those offices and with Dale to try to push forward so that our zone can be rolled back again, so everybody can rebuild. I mean, we have to get the people in town, and that's where I put all my efforts volunteer-wise.
Thank you. Carolyn?
For a short time, I was on the newsletter committee. That didn't really last very long. Also, directly after Sandy, I asked my company to sponsor some pro bono research for the town, where we interviewed a bunch of Highlanders and collected all the data, and then I gave back a presentation of the results. Obviously, as I mentioned before, I've been videotaping events such as this, along with all the council meetings, since April of 2013. Also on the FEMA committees, I think almost everybody went into one of those at some point in time. And then currently I'm working with the United Methodist Church to help them get a survey going for their needs to move forward and become more of a presence in the community to help the residents.
Thank you. Kevin, do you have a plan to help increase the local businesses and to bring more visitors to Highlands?
Can you just repeat
Sure,
it?
sorry. Do you have a plan to help increase the local businesses or local business and to bring more visitors to Highlands?
Helping most of the local businesses in Highlands? Is that part of
To
the
help
plan?
increase business in Highlands.
I believe that word of mouth is the best thing in the world, and I think that Highlands has great restaurants. I tell everybody where I go to eat, and it's mostly in town. And I think that's very important. The word going outside. I think people, when they go to C Street, and we have the information for them to go back and forth to New York, that has to bring more people in town. The Oktoberfest that C Street is having right now, some of the people are not going back on the 5 o'clock ferry, they're going elsewhere. This is something that we've had help. We help on the Highlands Business Partnership to get this working, and I think we're all part of it.
Thank you. Claudette?
Well, again, my focus really, in that respect, to bring some business in is the waterfront. I really feel we've missed the boat on the waterfront in the town. We've got a lot of waterfront to utilize. We don't utilize our free beaches, partially because they're unguarded. We don't have any kind of waterfront activities. You have people coming to town. Our summers are long here. We have a long fall or early fall. September is long, and we could certainly get C Street also to help assist with some of these events and bringing in outsiders for our beachfronts. That's one area. I also would like to see a summer concert series, and that can go well into the fall and the spring and have C Street sponsor it. And I also would like to see classic car events. Those are my things.
Thank you. Carolyn?
I agree that C Street should be brought into a lot more, not just events, but partnerships, because they are transporting thousands of people back and forth every single day, and even more so in the summertime. Public-private partnerships, such as what do we not have in this town, this clamming, boating town? We don't have a boat ramp, a public boat ramp, that means. C Street has a ton of property. Why can we not leverage some type of a boat ramp, fishing pier, or something on that property, or talk to them about it, or at least get something moving where you're at least getting some ideas out there?
Thank you. Tara?
We need a hotel. We need a hotel in town because people do come into town, they love our town, they go to our restaurants, they go to the beaches, and then they leave. And we need a place for them to stay. That we can have extended events, because there are things that are going on longer and people would stay for the weekend. C Street has been wonderful. They are already sponsoring quite a number of events in town in conjunction with the bid. And I think that we could do a lot more with them to have a specific concert series, perhaps in packaging it with staying in a hotel, which will take a while to get, but even prior to that, to have a restaurant and concert series tickets. I think it's great that people want to use our beaches, but I am also concerned for the people in town using the beaches. We are right next door to Sandy Hook. We do get a lot of people coming in after they go to the Hook using our restaurants, and it's great. If we had a hotel, they would really do well to stay here longer. I have looked into having a boat ramp. That was one of the things that I spoke about when I initially ran 3 years ago, and a study was being started about if this was possible. I had first been told that the currents were too strong, and then this was right immediately prior to me becoming elected, and then Sandy struck, so it never went any further, but it's certainly something to look at. People in town could use it for free, people from out of town would pay, would make money. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, let's start with you. What are your ideas regarding parking issues within the borough?
One of my pet peeves, of course. I think we have to use some of our lots that we have and start using those for parking. I'm sure that everybody up here is going to agree on that because we've talked about it, we've talked about at council meetings before. That's the issue. We don't have a lot of space for parking, but the space that we do have, we need to start using for parking.
Tara?
I agree. I actually just spoke about this not too long ago. We have unused lots. We've got the lot between, that's on Shore Drive between Valley Bank and the condos, and it just sits there. We mow it every once in a while. It doesn't have to be blacktopped. You can still keep it as a permeable surface by putting gravel on it. You can scale back the size of a portion of the DPW lot. If we ever get out of trailers, we can free up all of that parking on Shore Drive on the other end of town that's being blocked up by the police department, and all the emergency service vehicles being there. So there's a lot of opportunities for parking to be in different spots. We just need to use what we have to get it done.
Thank you. Tara?
The very first committee I was on 17 years ago was the parking committee. Our former borough clerk asked me if I would like to be on that to help resolve the problem. At that time, there were 3 different ferry landings. And there was something else, I guess it was the clam plant that was really busy. But anyway, there was no parking in town. It was a mess. We thought we were resolving the problem. We actually tried some resident parking stickers. It lasted for maybe a year. It didn't work. Life went on. We still have the problems. We have still not solved them. It's time to do it. Once we make a decision about where our new municipal building will go, we will know what buildings we can, what lots we can use to have these little pocket parking spots that they have in many cities. We're not a city, we're a town, but we have problems with parking. We really need to take a look at this. Perhaps there could be ticketed parking or metered parking in certain areas to encourage people not to park at certain times or to allow the stores to have those spots during the day.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Kevin?
I think it's very difficult to really, the only thing we can do is, we would have to almost bus people from either the public school or the high school. Parking is going to get even worse for 2 reasons. One, every time somebody develops a house and raises their house, they can park in the spaces away from the frontage. So what I want to do is make it mandatory that they have to park 1 car in the parking area where they have a garage or underneath their house, or whatever. That's mandatory. The second thing, allow them to park in front of their own driveway. It's the only way. You have to save space. You have to. It sounds crazy, but you're going to have to make them use what they built. If we can rebuild, hopefully we can offer somebody to take over a hall and maybe put a parking area underneath it and build shops over top of it so we can have a center place where people can go and have parking and have shops and places to eat. I think that's one thing in the master plan that we have to do and we should do. There's not enough parking on the side roads. 5th Street, 4th Street, 2nd Street, you can't get through. I don't know how you're going to fit them. There's a few.
So I can ask the last question. Thank you. This, I think, will be the last question for the evening. If elected, how would you address our aging infrastructure, including Borough Hall, the streets, the DPW equipment, especially in today's economic situation? Oh, I have to take stories. Oh, Carolyn's here.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so you've got Borough Hall, which doesn't exist anymore. I'm sorry, DPW, and
You can do any of them.
Any of them, and infrastructure.
Equipment, yes.
Infrastructure on a whole, I mean, it's a huge question to ask, because we're taking a lot of Bay Avenue's infrastructure, and we're sinking some of the electricity and the other wires and putting these conduits underneath the ground. Although on a street that habitually floods, I don't know why that decision was made. It just seems that it would cause for more pain down the road. Anyway, the only way that we're going to be able to afford to do it is to go after the grants. And I was a member of the Green Team. I don't even know if it exists anymore, but I know we were never accredited as a Green Team. Part of those grants that they had were to become more resilient, and they're smaller grants, $10,000, $20,000, but if you string a lot of those projects together, they give you the money and then you do your project. It's not about always going after the $1 million solution or the $1 million grant from the federal government. It's reaching out to places like Sustainable New Jersey or our county government or our state government, and not always going for the pie in the sky idea. Fix what we can to get us going forward.
Thank you. Tara?
Okay, I just wanted to say, we are getting accreditation from Sustainable Jersey. We're not quite there yet, but we're in the process, and we will receive credits for that for various projects in the town. We are working on our infrastructure. It's extremely expensive. This is why it's taking so long. It's been falling apart forever. It is antiquated, and every time we try to repair something, something else breaks. So it's extremely expensive. We are looking for grants. This is why we bonded so many projects out. But it has to be done. It just has to be done. Sandy made it much, much worse with all of the debris that was swept into our system. The sand, the construction debris, everything else. It just made it worse, and we are being forced to deal with it now. So we are. This is exactly what we're doing. Block by block, we're looking for grants, we're getting the money, and we're fixing the infrastructure. For the DPW, we get grants for many of the machinery that we have to buy, but not all of it. We have to bond out. We recently purchased a street sweeper that also clears out the drains. It's expensive, but this is going to help us in the future.
Thank you. Kevin?
Infrastructure. Somewhere along the line in the next 10 or 15 years, I think most of the infrastructure in town has to be changed. There is so much piping that is leaking into the sewage lines from water runoff that is costing us more money to move the water out than the sewerage. And this has to stop. It's very important, but the cost, phenomenal. You have to understand one thing, that everybody's here saying, let's dig up the street or whatever it is. Any avenue most likely has 8 to 12 inches of concrete underneath the asphalt, and it's there now. People and the cost to do that, your bid goes all the way up. We had a blowout up on Miller Street 3 years ago, when the construction company hit a pipe, and you were watching the sewer lines, and there were nothing there but wooden boxes. Public Works.
Yeah, we have a 5-second one.
What's that?
5 seconds.
Public Works, we just hired a new guy, Joe, so we're up to 4 now. Thank you.
Thank you. Claudette?
I think there are a couple of things we have to do to strengthen the infrastructure. First, I think we need to embrace some of the workmen or the tradesmen in our town and get some volunteers in to do some work on some of the buildings that we have right now, to get them at least temporarily up and running so we can get out of trailers and whatever. That would be one thing. I do believe that Communities can adopt a street and start taking care of a street, houses on a street, the neighbors, everybody kind of bring them all together. There's some very basic things that we can do in this town to bring people together to start rebuilding the town. You can't just depend on raising the taxes for everybody in this town to build a new town hall. You can't do that. We need a new town hall, we know that, but we have a building right now that's sitting there that maybe we can get some volunteers to come and help repair right now so we can get everybody out the trailers back into something until we can get another building, until we can get the elusive grants that seem to be out there. I mean, to depend on the federal government. I know I'm working with them on things. It's not there. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I don't have a lifetime in mind.
Thank you. I'm going to give each of the candidates a minute to give a closing statement. Tara?
Okay, well, this has been a very enlightening evening, and I'm really glad that I went ahead and put it together. Okay, I have learned a lot. I hope that you all have. I hope that you will consider what I have done for the town over the years and consider allowing me to continue this work. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin?
I would love to see all these people come to council meetings every first and third Wednesday and really, sign in and have questions that we need answered. But don't get me wrong, I know these two ladies and I have nothing against them. I really don't. I'm running, I want to be reelected because of what I've done and what I have in plan to get moving forward. That's what I'm there for. We're that close to get there. And I think that it's a great idea that we elect someone who's in that position at the present time. Thank you.
Thank you. Claudette?
I think that sometimes we need a new opinion, a new thought on the way of doing things. It wasn't working, or it hasn't been working in recent years. So I think people with fresh ideas like myself, like Carolyn, coming in and having maybe a slightly different approach, maybe the same approach, but from a different angle, matters. Sometimes we get, I know I do, sometimes you do your job day after day and then it becomes routine and you don't look at anything but what the routine is. I mean, sometimes you need to step outside the box to get some solutions and some answers. And I think I'm an outside the box person.
Thank you. Kara?
I think it's really about doing things differently. This is how we've always done it. It doesn't work anymore because doing it the way we've always done it, it didn't work then and it's not going to work now. I think we need a new way of thinking to use residents' support and business support and input and not conduct business in a closed-door operation. People need to be involved, informed, and asked if they want to help to move the whole town forward together.
Thank you. I'm sorry if I didn't get to ask your question. They were in no particular order. I tried to group them. I had assistants that helped me. I want to thank the Henry Hudson students for filming this. I will make sure that you'll be able to get copies of this. Thank you, candidates. It was very successful. Remember, don't forget to vote. Yes. Good night. Thank you, Rosemary. Thank you.